it costs a personal bankruptcy to keep that business alive. No cash reserves, it could hurt a lot. Basically, I'm one of the founders of a company slash brand that we call 79th Ave Lending. It's a private money lending platform. We basically fund real estate developers, investors on their rehab, flips, maybe portfolio development properties. And then we've expanded into helping other people be private money lenders. I think private money lending really is that it's a family office, and we turn around and we give the ability for investors to just bring their deals to us, and they know who they're dealing with.
So how would you define hard money, I guess, would be?
Hard money, to me, we always call it institutional lending. They got lots of rules. They need to look hard at your credit score. They're going to give what we call fee stack, where they're going to have certain expenses that are much higher than what you're accustomed to. But really, the hard money lender almost never has their own money in the deal. Okay, they're not lending you their money. They're lending you someone else's money.
A hard money lender tends to be just a person who is using other people's money to fund deals versus using your own money. How little money can you get started with? Is it worth it when you have less money?
If you go to any private money lender, they're going to want about $100,000, $200,000 minimum to put to work. They're going to want you to be an accredited investor. So you'll need about $1 million of net worth. On the other hand, if you're co-lending with us, most of our people start out at $15,000. We prefer that number, by the way. That's, easier for us to get someone accustomed to private money lending, and they're still in a first position lien because they're co-lending with our own money.
A lot of times what I see people do, because unfortunately YouTube videos and the influencers on YouTube will tell you, hey, you can go into investing with no money down, with very little money. You just need closing costs. You barely need anything. And that works to buy the building. But then in 2 weeks, when your tenant stops paying rent, or your roof blows off, or something happens and you don't have money, you're sort of screwed. What I like about lending for someone that's just getting started with, like you said, you can get in for $15,000 co-lending. What's the odds of I now 2 months later have to put in another $15,000 on this loan?
When you're in a fund, you put your money in there. You don't know what deal you're in. You're just sitting there. Fund is the person you're banking on.
Yeah.
You don't know what house it was. You don't know who the borrower was. You're just counting that the guy that sold you the pitch. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying the way it is. That person, they better be really good at what they do, because if they're not, you could wind up losing your money, and they don't lose anything.
Yeah.
Okay. In co-lending, there is still risk involved, but on our end, we're looking at who the borrower is. We're looking at the property. We're looking at the conditions of the market. We are looking at a home inspection. We are looking at exit strategies, things like that. And so we have all these things that go into a loan before we even say yes. And then once we're into a loan, once we mortgage a property for the investor, we don't add more money to the loan.
Right. Yeah.
So we're vetting capacity to handle a problem. But the $15,000 entry point for us, we want people to get comfortable with the concept. And once they're comfortable, and I'll give you an example, individual D had $15,000. He knew my sister, joined us on a loan. As we moved through the process, what was really cool was the money came back, and he had been receiving his payments, and everything was all fine. And the next thing you know, like, he's texting Valerie on a Monday night saying, I got a corporate bond that's about to mature. I think I'm going to go ahead and cash that. And how quickly can you put my money to work? What do you think? I mean, $15,000, not very familiar with co-lending, but, family, friend, and everything else. How much do you think that corporate bond coming back was going to get put into 79th Ave lending?
I don't know, maybe 50, so 2x, 3x what he did?
$100,000.
Nice. Very cool.
So one deal, but concierge level service from, the team. And then he's like, I want to go from 15 to 100K. That's what happens a lot in the co-lending and private money lending, arena is that people realize it's income. It's well monitored. We have guidelines. We have rationale for everything we do. We don't lend to friends just because we like them. Sorry, Tim, you're out of luck if you're looking for that. And even then, somebody said, well, how much would you lend something to me on a less than ideal situation? What would the rate be? What would the points be? Things like that. And I'm like, dude, it's not about the rate. It's not about the points. It's, we just have no interest in putting our necks out that far.
Right. I like to look at it as if I was in your shoes, if it falls through, can I go take it and run with it and make it and go sell the house? That's one way to look at a deal is, hey, is this something that I think is plausible, not just for this guy, but if this guy, something happens and he dies and we have to take it over,
sure,
could we run with it? I think that, could we still make it work, or is it just this guy's trying to roll dice and figure it out?
Exactly. There's an inherent dilemma in that concept. I drive around all day long for my day job.
Yep.
I go to some pretty sketchy areas. I'm not going to say the town because I don't want to offend anyone in the town. I love the town. There's almost no area that I wouldn't mind owning a property in, like if you're using that as your litmus test.
Yep.
But when you look at things like property taxes on a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, and those property taxes are $12,000 a year, we're not lending there unless it's weed in Illinois.
Yeah.
Because nobody can afford those taxes. It doesn't make sense.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, you brought up, looking for, they have money in the back, they have something to make up for it, right? I think that's vital. Again, this is something I've been fighting against in this podcast, on YouTube, on everywhere I can. You can buy with no money down. You can do all this. You don't have to have any money to invest. All this advice that I think, frankly, is just, it gets people in trouble. And we see it all the time where someone buys a property and they're like, yeah, I put together $40,000 and I bought this property. I have nothing left. And then what do you mean the tenant's late? My mortgage is due. What do you like? You need money to hold. Lending is super useful for an investor that has funds, because I don't want to use all my money, because I want that money in the background. If something goes wrong, if something goes, I don't want to throw $150K at a project, and if something goes wrong, I have nothing left.
Yep.
I'd rather pay the interest, origination fees, all that stuff, and know that I have the $150,000 sitting in the account, that if something goes wrong, I'm going to be okay. And I think that's super important for investors to realize, especially new investors that think like, hey, if you go buy a house, you're never going to run into any issues.
2018, my wife and I started working and opening a restaurant, a little wine bar, dive, whatever you want to call it. And March, we were getting ready to open up the doors. We had delays, we had expenses. We had been paying rent out of pocket for months and months, maybe even a year. And it became a running joke, well, if that place ever opens. So March, we got to open the doors. It was awesome. It was really exciting. It was March 2020.
Ouch.
So at the end of the day, and I was going to put that $133K into that business.
Yep.
That business wound up, weirdly enough, and this is tale of survival, but it cost a personal bankruptcy to keep that business alive. If that money wasn't in a retirement account, it would have been harder to access for the business. At the end of the day, I didn't lose all my money. The business survived. We never had to lay off any employees, but it came at a very steep personal cost. And what I would say to anybody who sits there and says, no cash reserves, and I'm going to leverage myself to go buy a property, you really should think twice. Because unless you're really, really smart and you're really, really resourceful, it could hurt a lot.
If you're really, really smart, though, that would eliminate the
doing that.
To do that.
Exactly. But right?
That's the key there. It's like leveraging other people's money is a great, and you see all these influencers, and I'm going to beat this horse, even though it's dead already, but you see influencers keep talking about, I bought this with no money down. That's great, but you also have $500,000 in the bank. You have your parents' money, or you made your own money doing whatever. And now you're telling people go buy without any money. Yes, that's great. I want to put as little as my money in. It's return on equity, right? I want the highest return on equity that I can get, meaning I want the littlest amount of my money in the deal as I can put in, because that's going to be the highest amount of return on equity I can get. But I also need to make sure I have, when things go wrong, which in real estate, things will always go wrong. That's why it's not buying a stock, where when you buy a stock, it either goes up or down, nothing happens. In houses, things go wrong.
You really should have about $40,000 if you're going to do $150,000 to $300,000 house.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, as lenders, we would like to see you have access to $40,000.
Yep.
Okay. One of the funniest things I see happen, and Valerie sees it too. Somebody will say, "I want to borrow $200,000," and then a week later, like, "Yeah, I think I want to borrow $215,000." And like, well, 15 because you got to change the cabinets, or you got to do the water main, or no. I've already had that factored in. So I said, "What is the 15?" Well, they don't want to tell us, but they're now asking us to finance their carrying cost. So the monthly payments to us, they want us to lend them the money. Any type of insurance premium, any type of utilities costs, they're saying, "Hey, can I get 15 extra K on top of what I already asked?" And we're like, no. And by the way, your loan is not put to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say $40,000. And I know that's hard. It's hard to get. Okay. But you could do, I have $20,000 cash because I worked a lot of overtime last year and I saved up to start my own, house acquisition type thing, rental property or a flip. Then you go to your family or whatever and you say, "Look, if I had to, if I had an emergency during this process, what can you do anything for me?" Man, you'd be surprised how many people would just never even think of that. I'm not asking for your money right now. I've saved $20,000. I have this private money lender who is going to stake me on my first deal. And I'm asking someone, I just need to know that I have a lifeline if things go bad. And I don't know if this is a not safe for work, podcast.
It is.
So if things go tits up, right? As my friend Katie from the UK says, then, I just need to know, right? Or like I said before, you have an IRA, right? Not a 401k. Because you can't get into your 401k if you're still employed at the job. But you got an IRA, you got a Roth IRA. You have options, but you really should have some kind of money sitting in the bank before you start this adventure. Period, end of sentence.
Yeah. I got one more question. Putting in money into the lending side, how do you make money? If I lend you $100,000, because that's going to be the easiest way to make math work, at 10% interest, am I making $10,000? Or am I making anything like closing costs? Do I make money? How as a lender or a co-lender do you make money on?
You have a couple different factors that go into any type of loan. And the more institutional the loan, hard money lending, the higher the fee stack. We'll start with that. Okay. We tend to make very little money on our fee stack. And the fee stack is going to be application fee, site review fee. When we're dealing in self-directed IRAs, there's always a self-directed IRA admin fee because that self-directed IRA, we as investors have to pay for that service to make that money accessible to you. We pass the cost on to the real estate investor who's borrowing money from us. Then, so small amount of money in the fee stack for us. Look at any other like large institutional lender, any hard money lender, Kiavi being, I'll say a name, even though I always try not to. Their fee stack, the little things that they're going to charge you for are much higher. We have a release of lien fee. It is not easy getting everyone to sign off and release that property so that you're in a good place at the end of the loan. It's work. And what we charge is next to nothing compared to the amount of labor it takes to get it done. So we got fee stacks. Then we have points. And we'll talk about points up front because generally speaking, there's an origination cost for every loan. You borrowed $100,000. We generally charge either 2 or 3 points depending upon certain. And that $12,000 in interest, if you're done in 6 months, you only paid for 6 months, $6,000. If you're done in 4 months, you only paid $4,000. When you're dealing with institutionals, they'll say, we want a minimum of 4, we want a minimum of 6, or we want a minimum of 9. I mean, there's a lot of weird things that go into that for larger lending institutions. And what happens for us is our so let's say it's my IRA and it's your on the other half of the loan. Okay. So we're co-lending together, and there's $1,000 payment each month. We're 50-50, co-lenders on this mortgage. You're going to get a check for $500 sent to you, and my IRA is going to get a check for $500 sent to it. I can't touch those checks. So I have a system set up where we route money into retirement accounts so that the beneficiary, the IRA, person, doesn't violate any IRS rules.
Break it down for me. If I come to you with the $15,000 on a standard loan, I come to you and I co-lend the $15,000 that you like to start people out with. What rate of return am I probably getting on that, or what would you?
12 to 12.96 annualized interest.
Yeah.
So if it was, if you're going to use, $10,000 is going to be $120 a month payment, so it'd be $180 a month is your income on your $15,000. Just like interest from a savings account, really. And then once the loan is closed out, they're going to pay it off. They're either selling the property or they're refinancing the property into a long-term commercial mortgage. Then, so you got your 180, we'll say for 6 months, $1,080. And then after 6 months, once the loan is closed out, you actually get your $15,000 back. It goes to your checking account. 79th Ave Lending doesn't touch it. We don't want to touch your money. There's a lot of reasons for that, SEC and IRS and stuff like that. But really, the reality is, so 6 months, 180. Tell me where you can make $1,000 on $15,000 in 6 months.
Yeah, it's not often, and it's also, even on the stock market, that may happen every couple of years. But you also have, the way it works is you go up 1,000 in 6 months, and then you go down 2,000, and you up like it's up and down. So it's not
right.
It's not a straight line for it.
Well, the other thing is you're not getting a payment. There's no income.
There's no, right.
You get dividends, but
dividends are like 2 cents per stock that you own.
Right. It's kind of, I never understood the whole, the stock market's up 55%, but my dividends stayed at like 0.01%.
Introduce sort of Scores, what it is and when it is, and give a little pitch, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the importance of some of these meetups.
Okay. So Scores is Southland conduit of REI success. Say that 3 times really fast, and you win a free supersized Coke. But so it's based out of the Southland, South Suburbs, Frankfort, Illinois. Valerie and I make no bones about it. We live down in Tinley Park, Illinois. I wasn't about to start a meetup up in the North Suburbs, so I could travel, once a month or more. It just didn't make any sense. No. So the idea of Scores really is about providing a networking environment that doesn't cost anything. We don't sell anything. There's no pitches. Even the people coming in as speakers, because we do have our goal is to provide education every month. Even those individuals are educated on our position of not pitching a specific service. So, Tim, you have a property management company. You can come in and educate on property management, like how to choose a property manager or what to look for from a property management. If you already have a property manager, you can do all that stuff. What you can't do is come in and say, I got a property management company and I charge X amount per house. Right. And, that just doesn't fly. In the beginning of the fund, the SEC approved fund that we can't advertise with because it's a 506B, Alan and I listened to a lot of podcasts from hard money lenders to understand how hard money lending worked, but knowing that we want to stay true to our roots of private money lending. And in that process, one of the things that struck us, if you can't afford a lot of money for marketing, you need to have a professional networking group. The more people that you know, the more business you can do.
I think for me, these events are great because, like I said, you're going to meet people that allow you to be part of these funds, that allow you to sort of not have to be an accredited investor and get in some of these, whether it's, co-lending, whether it's a fund for, buying an apartment, a syndication fund. These are where you're going to find these people that you're going to do deals with. But also, this group I've been part of for probably 8-9 months now. It's interesting because it's not just people in Tinley Park coming or Mokina or that area. We get people that are driving all the way up from the north side down.
2 hours.
2 hours drive. We get people from Kankakee, all that things. And it's fun and cool to compare. Hey, I have a property in the city of Chicago. I'm doing this. Your property's in Kankakee County. Your property's in Will County. DuPage County, whatever. What are the differences we're seeing? What are best practices here that you're doing that I can't do or that I can do because I didn't know about that, but it's popular over here. You can learn a lot from YouTube. You can learn a lot from podcasts. But when you start meeting people that are actually doing it in the local area and surrounding area, it's just like anything else. It is super different between Chicago, Indiana, and Indiana, Chicago, Wisconsin, even Chicago and the rest of Illinois. The world, it's different worlds. So having local advice and people that are in the mud every day is super important.
One of the attorneys that we do business with, she always says, your network is your net worth. Shout out to Gina, by the way. We definitely felt like this network was going to, one, help people. Two, it was going to help 79th Ave lending, strengthen their roots. And three, I got to tell you, I really enjoy the people that come out. A couple key takeaways from us starting up this group. We have a new investor, brand new to the industry, and he comes in and he finds, his next GC at our meetup. Okay. We have another guy comes in, and the next thing you know, like there's all these other attendees are like, can I get your number? I want to talk to you later. So now his business just grew from showing up one time. And then lastly, we had a speaker come in, and I try to explain this to the speakers. I'm like, look, I'm not going to pay you to be here, and it's not a very fancy thing. It's a good quality environment, I think. You can
for sure.
But this gentleman comes in and he's talking about universal life, insurance policies. Love them, hate them, whatever. I ain't my bag. I'm not saying nothing, right? But at the end of the day, this gentleman left with, let's see, on a room of 38 people, he left with 9 requests for more information for one-on-one phone calls. Now, I don't know any other funnel or whatever they call all that jive. Alan knows all that stuff. You tell me where you can get 9 warm leads out of an audience of less than 38.
Yeah, no, it's a
25% conversion rate, right?
It's quality over quantity, and I think you can make a pitch for either one, but quality it's a lot less work and it's more fun, and you get to actually talk to everyone and have a few drinks and eat dinner or whatever, and it's a cool environment. Facebook or anything that they can find you guys on, or what's the best way? So you'll find us underneath the Southland conduit of REI Success. You can find us at 79th Ave Lending, on Facebook. Yeah. Or you can find, Valerie, Alan, or myself, because we're pretty much always posting. Yeah. I've been working my day job for 40 years. I've, put into my retirement, but honestly, I haven't, I don't have a whole lot of extra money. I've been living paycheck to paycheck. How do we tap into that and use some of that money, the retirement funds, to invest and to do real estate deals and lend or any of that?
All right. So if you're paycheck to paycheck and you don't have, a basket of IRA money or Roth IRA money, you can come out to the meetups. You'd be surprised that, you may find other ways of getting into real estate without having money, but buying properties and fixing them up with no money, that's a bad idea.
Bad idea, yeah.
And you can't lend if you have no money. Yep. We have people say, well, I got a HELOC. Can I take out a HELOC or whatever? And I'm like, you can, and I'm not your financial advisor, but on my end, our mentors pretty much told us you don't leverage. If you're borrowing it and you're paying something for it, probably just not a good idea.
Yeah.
Try to save some money up. That's number one. Now, let's say you did have $15,000. Okay. Let's say you had $50,000. If you want to be a private money lender, what we like to do is we set up either an in-person or a Zoom, and we kind of start to vet you because not every person is right for co-lending. People who are very knowledgeable, like we had somebody that we know is a lender right now. She's getting a little, she's at that point in her life, or maybe she just doesn't want to deal with all the people. And so we're like, okay, let's see if this could work. Now, at first, I thought it wasn't going to work because she already knows how to, she is a lender. She has a good book of business. And at the end of the day, she really just grew attached to the underwriter, Valerie. And that in turn, she just did her first loan with us. She was working on her second loan with us. And she's pretty much said, you know what, I think I want I want you guys to deal with the heavy lifting, the headaches.
Yeah.
Her money is working. She's receiving a great rate of return, 12% on most of her loans. But, at the end of the day, it's still at risk. Okay. I can't say that enough. Everyone talks about, how great lending is and how much money you can make. But if somebody has a problem, and you're a lender on this deal, you have a problem too.
Yeah.
I have loans. A couple gentlemen have borrowed from me in 2024. The loan has not paid back yet. It's a very expensive loan. By the grace of God, they're able to maintain the standard that the contract was written under. But I have been waiting for my money since 2024 on a 6-month loan. And at the end of the day, it's not that I don't like charging them, but I do hold the contract.
Yeah.
The contract is contract. We hold it. And at the end of the day, this loan has been out there 2024, late 2024, should have been back in 6 months. I can go scorched earth. I can go hire an attorney. I can get angry. As long as they're performing and they're communicating, I get to choose not to.
Right.
That is the problem. That is probably one of the bigger problems with co-lending is that we all have to have a similar mindset.
Yeah. And I think just to reiterate what you're saying in less words, but you can't, in a stock, if you need the money, you can sell it. It's liquid. It's not liquid, but it is. Within a couple of days, you can make it liquid. When you're lending, you're hoping to get it back in 6 months, but it might be a year. It might be 18 months. You're making interest, you're making a little bit of money on interest, but getting your principal back, it's going to be tied up for a minute. So if you're like, I'm going to put this money here, but I might need it in 2 months. It's not the right move for you. This is something, which is why I like retirement funds and using that, because I can't use my IRA money until I'm 65 anyways. So I can't touch it. Might as well have it working for me. And go
ding, ding, ding. Way to go. You won that round. You're right. So private money lending is not illiquid. If you are thinking that, in 2 months, your wife's decided she wants to redo the kitchen, you can't call me up and say, hey, can you tell that borrower to send the money back?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
And if you try that move, it probably is going to get expensive for you because everyone's going to probably sue you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the other problem is that if it goes long, again, if the loan is so a default is when the parameters of the loan have to change after the loan's been set. So if the loan is for 6 months and you're now on month 8, technically the loan is, already, you're kind of in default. Now you set up an extension and that cures that.
Yeah.
But this is like, I think we're on 6 or 7 extensions already, and turns out,
was this a flip or was this a buy and hold that he's struggling?
It's a buy and hold and they couldn't refi out. And at the end of the day, couple coffee meetings with the parties involved. Valerie was there and we all said, okay, look, I would love for my money to be back because it doesn't make me feel good having this loan anymore.
Yeah.
And we're all like, okay, just keep communicating, keep trying to get out of this loan.
Are there anything that you can think of that you can divulge that you may have given a loan out and then after the experience you realized, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that? Is there something that you could have caught earlier or advice for people that, and this might work for, I'm going to buy a deal. I shouldn't buy this deal because I see this.
So I think I mentioned earlier, like somebody will say, can I get this loan if I give you more interest or if I give you more points? We just say no.
Yeah.
I think in the very early beginning, we were lending to a family member. That family member was very good to us. And at the end of the day, we learned a lot without getting hurt.
Yeah.
I have learned over the years, pushing a loan, trying to get into a loan just because you want your money working, which some would say is kind of greedy. That usually doesn't end well for your money or yourself.
Yeah.
So, every deal is leveraged or secured by an asset, the property.
Yeah.
And that property, you generally have, our equity positions are always 65 to 75% loan to value. at the end of the day, that's pretty good. It's more strict than a larger lending institution.
Mm-hmm.
But what we don't do is we don't like go up higher just because you're paying more money, because it's not going to work out.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Go into, so let's talk about if I do have money in my retirement fund, but I don't want to use my personal funds, quote unquote, but I want to use my retirement funds. How does that work in terms of investing with my retirement funds? What are the rules?
Investing in like real estate property or investing in co-lending?
Either one. I'm going to assume co-lending, but if you want to touch on investing in property, whatever you want to touch on or feel comfortable touching on.
Sure. Well, I'm a huge fan of understanding how retirement accounts can be used to your benefit without breaking the laws. The end of the day, so if you're an investor and you have a retirement account and you turn it over, let's say a Roth or pretty much every 401k, if you're still working for your company, there's nothing you can do with that 401k. And I am not a financial advisor, nor do I give financial advice. But if I had a 401k and I was leaving a company, I would never roll it over into the next company's 401k. They'll tell you it's easier, it's easy peasy. And the litmus test is, what are they giving you for putting your money to work in their system? Are they paying you an extra $100? Are they giving you more shares of something that you're buying? There's no benefit. There's no tangent benefit. You could take a 401k from job A as you're moving to job B and then turn around and put job A's 401k into a Vanguard account or equity E-Trade or into Fidelity, which, by the way, I like Fidelity the best out of all of them. And later on, 3 years from now, you decide you want to do something with that money, you have the choice. But if you're still at job B in 3 years, you are stuck. You can't do anything with that money. And
so Dave Ramsey, there are two things I agree with him on. A lot of his stuff I don't. But the two things I will agree with him on, the snowball method is the best method to get out of debt. Even though there are 100 reasons that it's not the best method on paper and mathematically and all that stuff, emotion is a human factor. Human emotion is a factor in things. And getting small wins, if you're still in a phase where you have a lot of debt, getting small wins by paying off your smallest credit card first and going, I'm making progress, keeps you going. So I'll agree with that. The second thing I agree with him on is 401ks are the best investment in the world for one reason, and it's a very strict reason. Your employer matches you 100%. So
if they do, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying it only exists. It is only good when they are matching you 100%. So if your employer doesn't match you, there is no good reason to get into a 401k with them. If they do match and they only match 1%, there's no reason to go above 1%. And to your point, when I roll that over, my new company is not going to match what I roll over. So there is no good reason to roll that over. It's you're putting it in to your company that's going to, the amount of fees on a 401k, if you look at that compared to just going to a normal account.
So company A, I'm going to cut you. Company A was no cost whatsoever to the employee for the 401k and a 4%, up to 4% match annually every year. No questions asked. That was company A. I miss company A. I still think of them every day because company B, which is where I'm at right now, it's there's like some weird percentage that they charge me. So as my account grows, they charge me more every month, not once a month, but twice a month. So I think right now I'm at about $250 a year in fees that I'm paying. And the match, this is you'll blow your mind. If I put 1% in, they'll give me a quarter of a point. Up to 6%. So I got to put 6% in to get 1.5%. So you're right. But here's the other dilemma. I max out my Roth IRA every year. So if I can max out the Roth first and I can get the full 6%.
Then it starts to become, But if you only have one or the other, if your company's not matching and you're only going to put to the Roth IRA limits, which is $7,500 per person. But guess what? If you have a spouse that's not working, They can have one, you can have one. There's ways to sort of increase that and have a little bit more there, but max that out first before you start looking at 401ks, because the fees in 401ks, and you don't have any control while it's with your company, like you said. I can't go and I know that company A's stock is about to increase. I can't just be like, hey, put everything here. I can't use it to go do co-lending, things like that. But break down, let's say I do have my access to my money. I didn't roll it over. I put it in Vanguard, or I do have a Roth IRA. I want to get into investing. What are some of the pitfall rules that I got to follow with IRS, and how do I can't just go to Fidelity and say, hey, give my money to Ed.
Nope.
How do you get the money? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it won't quite work the way I want it to. But yeah, got it.
All right. So first and foremost, co-lenders. So let's say we've already assessed the personality, and with 79th Ave lending and this new potential co-lender, it's a match. Okay. So we got to move to the next step. The next step is we're going to look at where you're at financially. Do you have an IRA? Do you have a Roth IRA? And the answer is usually yes, or you just have $15,000. Okay. Turns around, if you're in a qualified retirement plan, IRA, Roth IRA, but they're not set up as self-directed, then Valerie's going to help you get acclimated to a company that we believe in called IRA Club. They're Chicago-based. We have pretty much a pipeline to them now for our co-lenders.
Okay.
But now you, as the manager of your self-directed IRA, can actually conduct business directly.
Yep.
Okay. Can't cut yourself a check. Can't buy a car with your retirement money. Not that way. Not a good,
Yep.
But general premise is we're going to take our co-lenders from, having an institutional retirement account to a self-directed checkbook control account. And then Valerie's going to work with them and line them up with a project that we feel is good for where they're at this stage of investing. And I'll give you an example. We had this guy, Tim, who was looking for a loan. He's not in this little micro community that we belong to. And a lot of people in the micro community would be very uncomfortable lending to someone who's not in the micro community. That's fine. To me, everyone's cash is green. So, but this other co-lender who's got experience and has been doing this, well, I say, hey, by the way, you're going to make a little bit more money because this is not in the micro community and it's a slightly different rate. And that person's like, ooh, when do I send my wire in? So at the end of the day, or we have another person who would prefer not to work with a first-time investor borrower.
Yeah.
Okay. And so all these things are kind of like, there's a lot of psychological that goes into lending. Again, who are we working with? Who are we lending to? And then you got to kind of match them up. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the reasons why we get paid a little bit more, But at the end of the day, so the self-directed checkbook control IRA is set up, and you've seen a deal, a property that's been presented, say in Sauk Village, it's a 3-1 pizza. Holy cow, can't get any worse than that, right? But that's actually a great property to lend to. And so this co-lender at, say, $15,000 is coming in, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm lending $15,000 on this piece of crud house. And we're like, yes, but that's the beauty of this. A terrible looking house that has been properly inspected can be such a great opportunity for a real estate investor.
So I'm going off topic for a second to throw this tip out. If you're a new investor especially, and we've seen this time and time, we have a client that bought a property that honestly, I don't know if we're going to be able to turn it around. And the reason is not the property itself. We can fix that and make it shine.
It's in Markham?
No, it's not in Markham. We do have some of those clients too that we're getting out of Markham, but we can make that property shine. It is surrounded by 10 buildings that are boarded up.
Yep.
People pull up and they do I want to rent here? nope. Like it looks like I'm going to get shot. Looks like I'm going to get kidnapped. Like this is not. It looks like one of those like dilapidated like paintball games. You know, everything is just a war zone. Literally, it looks like. I want to buy the ugliest house on the nicest block.
Yep.
I do not want to buy the nicest house on the ugliest block ever. And that is a rule of real estate investing that I think is one of the most important rules of real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're walking down that block, do the neighbors take care of their shit? Is the grass cut?
Mm-hmm.
Is things falling over? Are there buildings that are burnt down and never repaired? Or
the garage is falling through.
The garage is falling through.
Yeah.
Now, if you're buying the house that is owned by the neighbor that everyone hates because there's mice and shit that are infesting the whole block because of them, because they have garbage all over, that's the house I want.
Sure.
That's the house that has the ability to turn it around and say, okay, let me make this house nice. The neighbors are gonna be happy as hell because it doesn't look like shit anymore. It's not causing infestation of rats and anything like that. And it's not burnt down anymore. It's not, whatever the situation is. I want that one because I'm going to bring that to the blocks level,
mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to sell it or rent it or whatever. And that's where the money is, because you're going to buy it at a reduced rate. And
I agree. So again, going back to this terrible house, 15,000. At the end of the day, this person steps in. Probably the first
mm-hmm.
night, they're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I just threw away $15,000
mm-hmm.
because I've been there."
Yeah,
it was $87,000, and it was in Crete, Illinois,
mm-hmm.
and it was to somebody who I absolutely trust, and admire. And I still woke up the next day going, "Oh my God, what have I done?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but here's where the redeeming value is in all of that. 2 days later, they're going to wake up, and they're, "Oh, that's right. Ed, Valerie, Alan, Ed's
mm-hmm.
sister, Di, they have $150,000 in on the deal that I only
mm-hmm.
have $15,000. What do you think the odds are that I put you in a crummy loan,
right,
when I'm putting $150K of my own money?"
Yeah, not very high.
Hard money lender, they're not putting any money in the deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's your money, maybe all your money, and you never really met the investor borrower. You never really walked the property things, and neither did the hard money lender. It's a totally different experience for the person who's going that route to put their money to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think right now, we're pushing 21 different co-lenders.
Mm-hmm.
Not pushing, but
you have access to their
right. They trust us.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, that's where these retirement accounts turn into capital. Now, could you be in, I think Wall Street, S&P 500 last year did 17%,
mm-hmm.
and you got 12%. Now, if you had a wealth manager, you didn't get 17% mm-hmm. because they had you diversified and you were paying fees, and you did not get, I had somebody tell me I got 32% with my wealth manager last year. I'm like, dude, I will buy you a prime steak dinner if you show me your account, activity for the year. Because I guarantee you, you can pick any restaurant. You did not get 32%.
You show me you made that, and I'll quit my job right now.
Right.
I love that movie.
It just so at the end of the day, but if you're getting 12% on your money and you're getting monthly payments, my sister is in that vehicle.
Mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm.
she has a self-directed retirement account, checkbook control, and she has a little cash account, and she's going, that money goes to work, and she's going to live on the interest from the principal
mm-hmm,
of her
mm-hmm,
account.
Mm-hmm.
And the principal doesn't go down. The benefit to her is that, she is in this position where she's getting ready to take Social Security, and then she's also getting an extra, $28,000 or so a year.
Mm-hmm.
So she literally, she has extra $500 or $2,000 a month in income to live on. So
I think so, and we'll wrap up with this last question for you that we've talked about before. So I sort of know your answer, but I want you to give it to everyone. You've heard of the 4% rule. A lot of people say, retirement wise, if you need $80,000 to live off of every year, you need to have $2 million in in the stock market. When it comes to lending, What do you think that number is closer to in your opinion?
All right. So I'm a realist.
Yep.
I sit down with people at this point in my life. I don't charge anything for it, but I will look at where they're at and tell them what I see.
Yeah.
And that 4% rule blows my mind because at the end of the day, you got $2 million and you get to live on 80 grand and they tell you you're still going to run out of money at some point if you live too long.
Mm-hmm.
They don't tell you that your $2 million is going to be there for your grandkids. They tell you you are going to run out of money.
Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind. It blows my mind to oblivion. But if you're lending, private money lending, and you're doing it appropriately, you have risks, but you have very little loss of principal if you're doing it appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very important thing, okay? That's a whole nother podcast session.
Yep.
But if you're getting, I'm going to call it so 12% is what you see on paper, right?
Yeah.
But you have some inefficiencies always. So let's just call it 11% annualized over the whole year, okay? Because this loan took a little bit longer to start up, or this never it runs long. It doesn't matter. Your money you're still earning, but it's the downtime when it's waiting for the next one because we cannot say this loan closes on Monday and your money's going to work on Wednesday. That's not reality. Okay. So 11%, $2 million, that's $220,000 a year you can live on this year. $220,000.
Yeah.
Versus what is our wealth manager giving us?
$80K.
$80K.
And the money runs out.
And the money runs out. And you have to weather, oscillations in the market and things like that. So in my world, I'm going to hand the reins of this enterprise someday to somebody. Unfortunately, because it's all retirement money, it won't be my kids because they can't actually work for my retirement account. But I know that there's a couple people that I'm building relationships with, and my goal is to get them to a place where they can pick it up. Valerie and I are going to probably we'll make our 12%. Maybe we'll make a little better because we were the founders. I don't know. But I figured out that if I can be at $1.5 million at 59.5, I'm probably checking out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still going to educate. I don't, you may have seen me. I dress up as Santa Claus, for 6 weeks out of the year, but I'm going to do things I really love.
Yeah.
And if my wife and I can't get by on $180K until Social Security kicks in at 62, really, what's the most important aspect? And this is what I think a lot of people miss in retirement planning: Medicare. That is the golden handcuff. 65 before you get reasonably subsidized health care.
Yep.
And I know we have covered a ton of topics today, Tim, but I mean, the idea is that private money lending has been this transformative type thing for Valerie and I. And at the end of the day, Valerie focuses on lending every single day, every single night, because as it's like a business.
Yeah.
And business owner, you don't get to shut down.
No.
Things just have to be dealt with. I, on the other hand, have been, working on creating the community, finding the opportunities, education on, laws and regulations. State of Illinois is moving into a focus on anti-predatory lending, which could have an impact on private money lending accounts, per se. So, there's constant education that has to happen. And then you also have, what I feel is a commitment as a person who works every day to teaching people about the retirement accounts and what that could look like and what needs to be, where are they at? Where could they go? That's it's so plenty to do if I don't have to manage lending.
Yep.
I can teach somebody what we do, the guidelines, the practicalities, and I can reap the benefits of that at 59.5. But at the end of the day, I don't think I get to quit doing stuff.
I get a hold of you directly. What's a good way to do that?
Okay. So we've got 79th Ave Lending on Facebook. You can basically send us a message and we're going to reply to it. We manage our social media. And so 79th Ave Lending, and we have the Southland Conduit of REI Success. So those 2 pages. You can find us at the meetups. I mean, if they know you and you say, hey, how do I get a hold of those people doing the lending? That's great. And really importantly, it's important just to introduce yourself first. There's nothing more awkward than saying, hey, how much you going to charge me to borrow money from you?
The key about what I said about friends and family being able to actually make friends, like don't walk up and be like, you money now. Like give, and then ask. I think is hugely important. But I want to thank you for the information and giving the crowd everything. We'll have this out here shortly, and
cool.
We'll, if anyone has questions, comment below. I'll get them over to Ed. We'll get them on to answer again or get some videos for them.
Well, I'd like to see a personality session.
Yes.
I'd like to see how to actually get money from a private money lender. With the least amount of pain as possible. And, how do I stop paying so much taxes to the government? Those are 3 of my favorite things.
Yes. So we will, we'll talk about those in upcoming. We'll hopefully have Ed back here one day soon. So, guys,
peace.
Do all the things. Subscribe, like, hit the bell if you're on YouTube, and if you're on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a review so we can, and then most importantly, share it. If you have other friends that are investing, share this podcast, share this YouTube video to them. Let them know about it so that we can grow our community, and you guys can all become friends, and we can all help each other out.